Welcome, welcome, and welcome. This is the Minding My Creative Business podcast, the number one podcast for creative entrepreneurs to gain strategy, structure, and self-development. I am your host, Ronald Lee Jr.
And I am your host, ShySpeaks. And today we're delving into a very, 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 very important topic. And it has to do with time, which is the most valuable thing known to mankind. I wasn't even trying to rhyme right there, but just know I'm excited about this because creative entrepreneurs who are leaning into the idea of I need to do more entrepreneur stuff are grappling with the question, okay, what exactly am I going to be doing with my time? I mean, I left my job or I'm leaving my job, but I feel like I'm not being productive. How do I increase my productivity so I can increase my efficiency? How do I make sure I'm not just like getting nothing that like we got you. This is the episode for you. Matter of fact, before I say anything further, I want to give you a stat. Let's hit them with that.
All right, so we want to hit you with today's stat where the American Physiological Association reports that 20% of adults regularly delay tasks. So by doing that, that affects their efficiency. Research by Zipper reveals that 82% of individuals lack effective systems for managing their time, leading to 51% of their workday being allocated to less valuable activities. So all that to say is that we wasting our time. We're not being as productive as we could or that we should be when it comes to us doing what it is that we're supposed to do or saying that we want to do. We're saying we want to be creativepreneurs full time, but are we spending our time effectively for that?
Right. And here's the thing that stood out to me. It was regularly delayed tasks.
Yeah.
So procrastination is not a problem just for creatives or entrepreneurs. It's for people, period. But especially when you put that creative entrepreneur piece in there, I'm sure there's going to be some tasks that you're delaying. And oftentimes on this podcast, we say that you're probably pushing off the entrepreneur side and leaning into the creativity side. But the truth of the matter is, again, it says 82% of people lack an effective system for managing their time. So in this episode, we are going to give you an effective system. We have 14 effective ways for you to manage your time. And I mean, I'm talking about like, what am I supposed to do with my day? We're going to give you some actual tools. Literally, Ron and I are going to share some tools right here on this episode, and we're going to give them to you if you're willing to get them. All you have to do is like hit a button on the wherever this episode is hosted at. You're going to click a link rather, and it's going to be Good Time Bundle. That's what it's going to be called. Good Time Bundle. You're going to get a resource from Ron. You're going to get a resource from myself. Ron is a phenomenal coach, and he shares a time management tool with his people. I have an actual tool that I'm telling you, like, stick around. You want to hear this. But first, we have to lay the framework for this time management piece. And I think the best time management tactic that I ever seen, it really changed. Like, I could put this up on the wall. It could be a quote, it could be a phrase, but ultimately it should be your mantra after this episode. And that is, dream in years, set goals in quarters, plan in months, evaluate in weeks, and execute violently daily. I'm going to say it again. Matter of fact, you want to say it because they may need to hear it a different way.
Right. We want to dream in years, set goals in quarters, plan in months, evaluate in weeks, and execute violently daily.
Violently. Okay. Now, some people are like, okay, cool. I was wondering, like, what am I supposed to be doing with my time? Like every day, what do I need to be working on day by day? We're going to get to that. But first, that's what we would consider short-term time management. But we got to start you with the long-term time management, because without that, you're going to be just aiming in the dark, because you need to first dream in years, set goals in quarters. So let's get into that.
Yeah. So that whole dreaming in years piece is like I tell everybody, we got to start with the end in mind, right? Because it's like, as I look at the end, this is where I'm going. This is what I want to do. This is the end. This is the year, right? So it's like a vision. The vision isn't where you are currently. the vision is future pacing. So I'm future pacing. This is where I'm getting to in the future. So you start from there and then you start to work your way back. So you start with, okay, what is my 3-year goal, right? Or my 3 to 5. A lot of people do like a 3 to 5 year goal. So what is my 3 to 5 year goal? Like, where do I want to be in 3 to 5 years based on my business, right? Where do I want my business to be? Where do I want me personally as a result of my business to be in that? And then you kind of start there, and then we start working. Okay, cool. We're saying 5 years, then 3 years, 1 year, and you know, when we start breaking it down even more. But always start with that end in mind.
And I love that, because when you say start with the end in mind, when we say dream in years, ultimately, when you're talking about something 5 years, even a decade out, it's really just a dream. It's an idea. This is my wildest dream. This is the fun part. This is the fun part before we get into the day. And I'm gonna give you the details and the juice about the day, because you need to get your day together. Okay, let's not be wasting time. But what are you really working on? So I love dream in years, so that you can, we're not even gonna say let's do 10 years. We want you to say 3 to 5 years. How do I want the next 3 to 5 years to look? Dream that up, envision that, cast vision for it. And then after you have a clear vision for your next 3 years, you then are going to look and say, okay, what needs to be the thing that happens next year?
Right.
And how you get a 1 year projection is you look at the goals and you realize that some of the goals have to be done in milestones. Like, in order for me to have a studio with 50 employees where we're all in here making cartoons or whatever that your creative dream could be, you have to first have a network of people who you're going to be. You have to also first have a studio. You have to have the capital for the studio. You have to have, you see, so there are so many things that have to happen. So when you look at your goal, your dream for the years, you look at them, you turn them into milestones. Like, one goal unlocks the next goal, unlocks the next goal, or you turn them, or certain things are contingency based. Like, this is contingent upon that happen, and that's contingent upon that happen. And once you peel all that back, you come up with, this is the first thing that has to happen for any of that to happen,
Right.
and that's my year one.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got year one. Come on,
Right.
that's rule number one. That's 14 ways. We got 13 more to go, but number one, dreaming years, peel it back, take the milestones away, and figure out what needs to be done next year in order for the 3 or 5 years to come to pass.
Right. Right. And just keep in mind that before you could even get to that, you've got to have the end result in mind. Like, this is what I'm doing. Because a lot of times I see, right, in coaching people, that they don't know the end, right? They have an idea, they have a general idea of what they want to do, but they don't know how they want it to look. And that's totally different. So knowing how you want it to look, knowing how you want it to be, then you can kind of dial into it and whatnot. So after we have that year piece down, right? So then we're gonna break, you have multiple years, but then you start breaking them down by years. But then once you have those years set up, okay, bet this is what I'm trying to do for the year. Then we're gonna go to set the goals in quarters. So then we start breaking it down quarterly, right? So we're gonna break it down just so y'all know. So in a year, right, there was 12 months. In that 12 months, right, there are 4 quarters, right? In each quarter, there's 3 months in each quarter. So when we're talking about quarter of a year, we're talking about a 3-month span, right? So if you're going
for all of you who already knew that, we apologize. But just because we know that there are some people who may tune in and they're like, man, when people saying Q1 and Q2 and Q3, right, what are they even talking about? So we just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So you have your 1 year goal in mind of what needs to happen. And now you're going to chunk that down. You're going to break that down into 4 quarters, the 4 quarters that already exist in the year.
Exactly. All right. So we know quarter 1 is January, February, March. Quarter 2 is April, May, June. Quarter 3 is July, August, September. And then quarter 4 is October, November, December. Right. So that's how you want to break it up. So you want to start to say, okay, cool. For the first quarter, in order for me to get my ending year result, first quarter, these are the things that I need to do, right? I need to do these things or have these things accomplished within this quarter. Quarter 2, these are the things that we want to do. And then you, like you were just mentioning, Shy, as far as it's a compound or it's like contingency. Okay, I'm not going to move to this step if these things aren't done. So there's tasks in quarter 1 that need to be done before we start moving on to these tasks in quarter two. If we did not meet all the tasks in quarter one, we need to roll over some of those tasks that we didn't complete in the quarter two. So now we may got to allocate a little bit more time than what we thought initially because, oh, we didn't get all these things done in quarter one, or we may have to look and make some adjustments and some tweaking. But once again, you don't leapfrog anything, please. Like, oh my goodness, if y'all don't, I mean, y'all can learn some stuff this episode, but if you can learn now, there are some things that you may be able to leapfrog, but then there's other things that, though you may be able to leapfrog, you don't want to leapfrog it because then you take away that lesson. You don't fully learn it. You don't fully grasp it. It's kind of like if I'm building a car and it's like, well, okay, yeah, I got 3 screws tight, but this 4th screw, I ain't really screw it in because I'm trying to get to the next part. So I just kind of partially screw it in. That can cost you in the long run. Right. And you don't want to have situations like that where it's going to cost you in the long run. So it's just like, just do it the right way the first time, so you ain't got to go back over and do it. This is kind of like, I don't know how y'all, like when I grew up cleaning the house, if I ain't do it the right way, my mama like, you got to do it all over again.
we don't want to be doing it all over again. One of the cool things that Ron and I thought about doing when preparing for this episode, we said we need to give them a case study, give them examples on what this actually looks like, because we know that you live in we know what quarters are, but we're trying to get you to turn your mind and start thinking about quarters from an entrepreneur perspective, a creativepreneur perspective, right? And so we're like, okay, how can we help them see that even further? Let me give you a scenario. In previous, like in season 1, we used to talk about this cupcake example, somebody who makes cupcakes and they turned it into a full-on cupcake business, right? But instead of giving you some generic example, we wanted to give you an example of us. You want to let our podcast be a case study for this particular episode on how to manage our time all the way down to the day. And that's the sauce that you need. So right now we're on number 2. We still have 12 more ways to go. But with the 2 ways that we just said, if we're dreaming in years, we could say we have goals. We decided to set goals in 2 areas: marketing goals and financial goals, right? So marketing, we want to get our Creatives Corner community up to 1,000 people, right? In a year. We want to get up to 10,000 downloads per episode, right? So we want 10,000 listeners every episode checking us out. That's the reach that we want to have. Financial goals, we want to have profitability to produce the podcast, okay? And then we want to have profitability to cover personnel, right? Enough profit to cover personnel and to produce the podcast in the way that we want to move forward in the future. Right. The future goal of doing this season has been hybrid. Right. Hybrid as in we did some online and some in person. But if in our perfect world, as we dream up, we would prefer to do them all in person. Now, Ron and I we don't live in the same city. So we have to actually meet up in person to film it, which means there's some cost of traveling and so forth and so on. So we got to cover that. And then we have to get the facilities and all that goes into producing this podcast.
Right.
Then we have to have enough money to cover the personnel, meaning not just for us to make something out of it, but for us to have an employee or a contractor who works with the podcast that helps us with administrative tasks and social media things. So these are our goals. That's us dreaming for a year. Now, how are we going to break that down into quarters? Let's start with the goal of having 1,000 people let's do that. 1,000 people is our goal. 1,000 people in the community per year. If we're setting goals in quarters, we need to have what? That's about
250 per quarter.
250 per quarter. So we need to be doing enough to bring in that kind of traffic.
Right.
Of people that's like, man, they're attracted to being in this community because the more people who are in the community, they can network with each other, so forth and so on. It's a reason behind our goals.
Right.
250 a quarter, you divide that by the three months, that's 83 people joining the community a month.
Right.
So now we have to think through, what do we need to do in order to be getting 83 people to join? That's what we mean by breaking it down. So this month, did we get 83 people? Next month, did we get 83 people? Month after that, did we 83 people? And what Ron was just talking about a while ago when he said, hey, I don't know, like if it didn't happen in this month or this quarter, it has to get carried over to the next quarter. Simply put, if I didn't get 250 this quarter,
Right.
okay, I'm still trying to get 1,000 by the end of the year. So let's say I only got 200 in this first quarter. Well, 50 of them, I'm gonna have to roll that on over to the next quarter because maybe I'm gonna have to get 300. I got to double time,
Right.
or I
Right.
can roll and split it behind over the next 3 quarters. But then I need to get, you know what I'm saying? Like I got to figure out how to increase that so that by the end of the year, I'm still at my goal of
Exactly.
a
Exactly.
thousand total people
Exactly.
in the community.
Exactly. Because like you said, we're still trying to reach that annual goal. So we don't start over like, oh, we didn't make it. So well, no, it's like we didn't make it. So roll that over because we
Right,
still have a annual goal to reach. So no, that's
right,
good.
yeah. Now, you talked about leapfrogging because there are certain times that certain things just happen. Like, man, we had this sweep spot. We were able to get this particular guest on. This particular sponsor gave us this gift pack to give away. We was able to give away some type of freaking laptop of some sort, and because of that, that just made like 500 people join the community all at once. And so, like, yeah, that's like we leapfrogged into getting. Now, if that can happen, great. But if it, you can't just expect that. Okay, well, I'm gonna just, it don't all work like
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
get all 1,000 of them in a day. If you
Right.
can, great. But if you, you know,
And listen, that's the thing. Even if you do see though the goal is to reach that 1,000, if we can get more, we can get more. Great. So if we leapfrog and we get more, we're not going to stop doing the things that we planned on doing to get the 250 just because we got more.
right,
That's what happens a lot of times. People they leapfrog, so then they stop doing. Oh well, I don't got to do that because I already got it. No, that's what I'm
right,
talking about. What I'm saying, don't do that. Continue to do what you were doing because if you were able to get more, great. Because if we can get more, that's just going to benefit us even more. So that's going to benefit the community more and it'll benefit us as a business even more. So don't stop
absolutely,
doing because okay, well, we was able to get this quarter we got 500, so we don't got to worry about getting 250 next quarter. Like no, still get the 250.
right. Because here's the things. This is all about time management and making sure you know what to do as a creative entrepreneur.
Exactly.
And one of the things that we're going to be doing to get the 250 is we're saying, okay, what has to happen for us to have 250 people join the quarter? We have to network a certain amount of networking events. He has to attend. I have to attend in person, online. We need to be getting a part of email blasts. We need to be email blasting out the people that are in the community, asking them to invite people into the community. There are some things that we're saying we're going to be committing to doing in the quarter.
Right.
And we should still just do that because that's just good for our community. So again, I got into what we're gonna do, but I told you in the beginning of this podcast that we were gonna give you some tools in the episode and even allow you to download them as a resource. We've created mmcbpodcast.com/good time bundle, which includes this resource that you're about to see right now from Ron. It's all about uh, figuring out how to figure out what you're gonna do in that quarter, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, and this is a former client of mine. So no names are being showed, but you know, I'm going to show you one of the tools and resources that we utilize. All right. So this here is the 90-day productivity planner. What we're talking about breaking it down in a quarter. So we start off with your long-term goal, right? What is my long-term goal? So for this person, their long-term goal was to create music and multiple streams of income, you know what I'm saying, via their creative talents. And I probably would have you know, we definitely dialed this in a little bit, but just for the sake of this, I'm gonna leave it like that. But you talk about that long-term goal. So okay, this is what we're working towards in this year span, but we're gonna break it down within a 12-week period. Okay. So you put your 12 weeks here that we doing it. Then what's going to be your theme? So during the course of this theme, or during the course of this 90 days, there's a theme that you want to have in place. Their thing was do it, right? This is a person that struggled with procrastination or overthinking. So they was just like, no, we're just going to focus on doing it. All right. So based off of this 12-week period, these 3 months, we're going to focus on just 3 goals, right? So to get to that end result, what are 3 goals that we can focus on right now during this quarter that can help you get to this get to the goal? So with this person, they had number 1, put their publishing in order. Number 2, networking and collaboration systems in place. Number 3, solidify music business formation. Right, so they were just starting out as an indie artist, so they, they were recording, but they didn't have this stuff in place. But these are the goals to get them closer to creating music and multiple streams of income. These are the 3 goals that we're working on in a quarter. So then next, what could derail their progress? This is what we're talking about, time management. They realizing that time management was going to help to derail their process. Then number 2, financial hardship, not having the capital to do what it is that they want to do. Then number 3, just personal discouragement. So you see some outside things, time management, financial hardship. Then you see some inside things, discouragement. So then we discuss, okay, what can be done to avoid these things from derailing you? Write out a schedule. That's what we kind of talking about doing. Write out a schedule. Financial hardship. Be savvy in spending money and budgeting. 3, discouragement. Keep your mouth closed, because they one of the people that talk bad to themselves and whatnot, right? So they like, let me stop talking bad to myself so that I don't have this feeling of discouragement, and let me keep it moving. So then once we have these things up here, 3 goals, what could derail it? What can you do about it? Then we go down here, and now we take the goal, and now we talk about tactics. These are things that you do that help you get to that, right? So each goal, we identify those tactics. You want to say something, Shy?
Yeah, I want to say that scroll up just a little bit. This is what I like for people to see. Just a little bit. You can see those 3 goals. Publishing in order was goal 1. You can stay to the left. It was goal 1, and you put that right there as goal 1.
Right.
Publishing goal number 2 was networking and collaboration systems, and that's right there in that category. Yep. So the reason why that matters is like, okay, well, I'm gonna get my publishing in order. Right. Okay, that's cool. That sounds good. Right. But what exactly am I gonna be doing? What all goes into getting my publishing in order? Right. So I'm gonna write all of that down. Right. Yep. I'm gonna network and collaborate and build some systems. Okay, what exactly does that mean? I'm gonna write all those things down that go into that, and then eventually we're gonna get you to how you turn this into daily activity and so forth and so on. But we just really thought this would be great to show you this 90-day planner, and for Ron to even, this is something that he makes exclusive to his coaching clients, but he's going to give it to you. We're going to gift it to you at mmcbpodcast.com/good time bundle. Ron, you have anything else you want to say about this?
No, I mean, like you said, that's just it. It breaks down the goals, and then you see down at the bottom, it has, this the 12 weeks, but then you start to go into weeks, and then you start adding these tasks to the week. So you're not doing all these in one sitting, right? All these tactics in one sitting. You're going to go and you're going to now, okay, if I'm saying this stuff we didn't put the weeks due, but what week should this be due? This going to be doing week 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. You got 12 weeks to work with. So now we're taking these tactics, and now we're breaking them up over the weeks and things like that, right?
Yeah,
you see,
right. Hold on, you getting them? You getting them?
I know. I know. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, I had the document there, so I was sharing it. But yeah, so yes. So
yeah. So they know how to use the document. We want you to know how to use it. Please implement this. Please don't just listen to this episode and be like, "Oh, that sounds cool. That's nice. They're giving it for free." But no, it's a free gift, and you right now don't have anything going to track your 90 days, your quarters. Because again, number 1 was dream in years. Number 2, set goals in quarters. Number 3 is to plan in months. Right? So because Ron was about to get you with the weeks, and we're not talking about short term just yet.
Right.
And that's where the most of the tips and tools are going to come from. In the long term, you had dream in years, set goals in quarters, and plan in months. Right? That's the big gist. And then after that, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you got 14 different ones we're going to give you. They're all coming in the short term. And it's going to be really practical things that you can start implementing today. Now, before we go on what we call our break to pay the bills, I want to say with the case study that we're using with our podcast, going back to one of our goals, let's say our financial goal. We had a financial goal of making $500 a month, or I'm sorry, let me go back. $36,000 a year is what it would take to cover personnel on a part-time basis, and to cover the production costs to produce this podcast. You divide that down by, to the monthly, and that works itself out to be about $500 a month. $500 a month. If we can get that from six, let's say we can reach out to 60 sponsors, 60 people to sponsor the podcast who may be interested in getting their message in front of the audience that we have. Only 10% of them are going to probably materialize into a yes. Right. So our goal for the quarter is to spend time week by week reaching out to sponsors. 15 for week 1, 15 for week 2, 15, right? So I'm looking at the month. In this month, I need to be reaching out to 60 people, right? So that's where we are. And if I can do that and I can get 6 people to say yes at $500 a piece, then boom, we'd be at $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month times 12 would get us to the $36,000 a year. You see what I'm saying? You see how all of this feeds into the overall goal. What I'm doing this month has to feed that goal. This month, I'm reaching out to 60 people. I'm trying to close at least 6 of them. Now, we get ready to go to pay these bills, but you want to stick around because we have another tool that I want to show you that is really, really intensive. We're planning your month. I'm telling you. Yeah. It's a tool that I developed, but I think it's so necessary. We'll be right back.
What's the irony?
It's because it's us in different color clothing. I mean, listen, we've been doing a lot of talking, and we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to make a statement as well.
Because we've seen people make statements with their athletic apparel. We've even seen people make statements as entrepreneurs. But one thing I haven't seen is somebody make a statement as a creative entrepreneur. So what we have done is we have given you an opportunity to make a statement as a creative entrepreneur.
Okay. So if they want to make sure that they're rocking that creativepreneur gear, where can they go get that?
You can go get that gear from whatstheirony.com. Welcome back. So as we were saying before the break, right, we shared that 90-day plan, that 90-day planner for you all, just to kind of help you break that off quarterly and start working towards things. And Shy was saying, when we come back, now we want to start talking about that whole monthly piece, right? How do we break it down from a monthly standpoint? And there was a tool that she created that we wanted to give to you all, but I'm gonna let Shy go ahead and do her thing with that.
Let's get into it. All right, so number 4, right? You already got your 3. We have to way number 4 on how to manage your time, and that is to create an annual output schedule. Here we go. Annual output schedule. And it actually gives the framework of everything we've talked about so far. It kind of seems like it's all about the year, but if you look closely at it, we drill down into the quarter. We even drill down into the month, and it gives you space to put a task on here of what's going to be done, right? So let's say you have one business, and in that business, you have the creative thing you have to do. You have the cupcakes you have to make. You have the dresses you have to design. You have the music you have to release. You have the amount of art pieces you have to paint. That's going to go in here. And then there's content creation, because we know we live in a world of content creation because it fuels our marketing efforts. And you're going to put in here what you're going to be doing marketing wise in the month. And then there are admin tasks that you have to have. And you're going to put it in here of what you're going to be doing admin wise by the month. So I'm going to just kind of do a quick little test or show of what I would mean by that. So you would come here and you would slide this right under January, right? And you would say and you would type in whatever it is you're going to be doing, right? You go ahead and put that there, okay? And then you're going to say, okay, and the theme for next month, in that same month, I need to get this done in content wise. And then also in this month, I need to do, you know what? And I said I was going to apply some grants. So I'm going to make sure in February I apply some grants, because it serves another goal that I have. Because we're not linear with our goals. We just told you that we have 4 goals. We have 2 main categories, marketing and financials, but that came with 4 goals. Number 1, 1,000 people in the community, 10,000 downloads. That's 2 totally different worlds. So that would be, we want to get so many people to download the podcast. We want to get so much funding. We need to be reaching out to so many sponsors. If you have another business, I even created another space here for you, because I'm sure your first business is the main priority business that has creativity, marketing, admin things, and even some other miscellaneous things. And then sometimes I would even say to kind of mix it up so it kind of looks different, right? So okay, so I have something happening here, and I'm going to put something there as far as what's happening in the month. And then before you know it, you have this full on this annual output calendar that's really helping you, and you're able to look at it at a glance and say, okay, cool. I know that, man, I need to do a content blitz in August. I need to do another content blitz in November, because we're going to be doing the November and December. Well, really October, November, because we're doing a sale for the year.
Right.
The end of the year sales that they have, holiday sales and all that kind of stuff. So you want to be able to look at that stuff all at a glance. And this is showing you what you need to be doing month by month by month by month, in lieu of your quarter, in lieu of your annual output. And if you guys want to see really quickly what mines look like, I'm gonna give you the annual output schedule. It's going to be a part of that bundle, by the way, right? It's definitely going to be a part of the bundle. But if you want to see what mines looks like, I'm going to show y'all real quick, and then we're going to keep it moving, just so you can see one that's kind of filled out. You think I should show them, Ron?
Yeah, might as well. Give them an idea.
Just to give you a
For
little
the people that are watching us, the people that are listening audio wise, get the bundle is at no cost. We ain't charging nothing for the bundle, so that you can get an example then. But the people that's visually watching us, you'll get a chance to see it.
You get a little extra peek that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. All right, here we go. I'm gonna slide on over and show you what we're working with. Here we go. Give me just a second. If you are listening, I'm telling you, mmcbpodcast.com/good time bundle. But here we go. This is what it looks like when you fill it all out. And you look at this and you're like, okay, cool. Artistry wise, I'm going to be releasing songs at this time. Okay, then content wise, I need to make sure I'm filming a batch thing here. And then I have the festival and I need to make sure this is happening at this time. And then I have a podcast and I want to make sure it's happening at this time. And it's good to look at everything month by month in all the areas, so that I know that I'm not overbooking and over planning anything for the month. But sometimes we'll do that. We'll just look at our 90-day planner and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, not considering that's just in one area. You got these other areas of things you need to do as well. And so making sure when you look at them energy wise, will I have the energy to fulfill everything? And should I pace this out differently? So there you go. Number 4, create you an annual output plan visual, something that you can actually look at regularly. We'll get back to that later. But let's move on to number 5.
All right. Number 5 is designate your days, design your weeks. Right? So go ahead.
Yeah. With that, I automatically thought about the quote that says, a plan is what? A schedule is when. It takes both a plan and a schedule to get things done. That's by Peter Turler. So
say that one more time. I'm sorry. I don't know if they heard you, but I don't know if they heard you.
Because number 5 is designate your days, design your weeks. I'm going to tell you what that means. We told you this was the sauce. This is going to help you really know how to manage your time. You're not going to be scared to leave your job or to go from part-time to full-time with your entrepreneurship, whatever, because you're going to know how to design your weeks and designate your days. But the quote that came to mind, the quote says, a plan is what? A schedule is when. It takes both a plan and a schedule to get things done.
Yeah. No. Because like I said, listen, and I've seen people that they have plans, but they don't create the schedule to go along with the plan, so the plans never happen.
Right.
So that's why you need both. I know people that have a schedule, but they don't got a plan. So whatever they saying that they're trying to do never happens. So you need both. You need the plan, and then based on your plan, you need the schedule so that you get the outcomes that we're here talking about, so that you can be the successful creativepreneur that we know that you can be, that you're listening to this podcast because you know you want to be.
Right. So when we say design your week by designating your days. Here's what I mean. Here's the juice, right? You want to take your days and you want to give your days a theme, so to speak, using the language that Ron used. Mondays, you want to designate that as maybe your CEO or admin day. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be that
Right.
day, but I'm just
They'll give you
Tuesday,
examples. Yeah.
just an example. Tuesday, you can make that your client work or your creative work day. Okay. Creative work. So if you're an artist, you know, this is the day I write, I do music, I do rehearsals, I do all that kind of stuff. That's my day where I'm in my creative bag. If I am a designer, this is the day that I'm in my creative bag and I'm designing new sketches or I'm fulfilling other orders, right? I make custom watch things or something that we do, amazing hats. I'm going to fulfill the client's order. I got to be in my creative bag. That's Tuesday. On Wednesday, maybe you can make it a marketing or and content day, right? This is the day I film. I make sure I'm capturing what I've been doing so I can share it. I'm actually thinking through ideas so I can type it out and write it and share it with the people around me. I am setting up that Facebook ad or I'm meeting with the person who runs my Facebook campaigns. I know that on Wednesdays I do all things marketing. I know that on Thursdays I make it my networking day, networking and calls. And that really helps so that you're not meeting every day, you know, because you can't do, oh man, you can't do everything every day.
Right.
Right. And so then maybe Friday, I would say dedicate that to your development, your personal development, or you know, we right here self-development, as we will say on the Mind in My Creative Business podcast. So, and here's the thing: I don't want to just tell you like, oh, okay, I'm designating the days without telling you how to make sure you're implementing that. I want you to pull out your phone, pull up your calendar, the calendar that you have on your phone, your digital calendar, and you're gonna go in your calendar and you're gonna set that as a day. Go in the calendar, set an appointment, new appointment, and you're gonna say admin day,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you're gonna put it as all day. You're
Yep.
not gonna put a time on it. You're gonna put it as all day. So that way, when you pull up at your calendar and you look across the week, you see that right at the top of the calendar. When you put all day, it puts it at the top. If you put a time on it, it puts it in the time block of the day. Thursday, networking and calls. When you have that in place, I'm telling you, most of the time when people reach out to you like, hey, you got time? You want to meet up and talk about this? You want to? He's like, let me see what I got. You won't have to do that because you'll know Thursdays I network and I
Yep.
take calls and I do meetings. And if I don't have calls and meetings, that's an opportunity for me to get out and go to a lunch and learn. That's an opportunity for me to get out and go network because I'm building relationships on this day.
Yeah. No, my web designer, she only takes client calls on Thursdays. If it's any other day on Thursday, you cannot go on her. That calendar is blocked off for that particular task. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? So yeah, and you have to understand you got to learn what's good for you and best for you, right? Based off of your temperament and your personality and things like that. So Shy just kind of gave you some examples, but you have to figure out, okay, nope, this day is going to be this day for me and all that. And I would even encourage you to schedule your creativity, which I know may be difficult because everything we're talking about is the business side. These are just the business things. But I was talking to one of my clients and she was having an issue with scheduling her creative time, right? She's like, it just feel like a job now. And I'm like, no, you have a business, right? I understand what she was saying. So I was like, create space for spontaneity so you can just kind of create, because, you know, we're creative. So we want to create on a whim at times.
right.
However, though, these other tasks, you don't want to develop spontaneity when taking care of your business. So that's why it's important to do
Right.
what Shy is laying out.
Yeah. Uh, there's another quote that says the shorter way to do things, the shorter the way to do many things is to only do one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The shorter way to do many things is to only do one thing at a time. So designing your week is all about making sure you're doing, once your mind is in that one flow, and I'm in the flow of like admin tasks and I'm knocking out emails and I'm sending over uh, grant write-ups and I'm doing all that. That's
Yeah.
the mind. I'm doing that one thing
One
today.
thing. One.
And we're going to get into this pretty soon. Matter of fact, we might as well jump there
Yep.
because number 5 was design, designate your days and design your weeks. Number 6 was to actually set those designated days on the calendar. Number 7, this is where we start getting into executing violently daily. And that is set specific work hours,
Yeah.
right? Set specific work hours. Now, and then I'm gonna go ahead and give you the next one, and I'm gonna time together. Number 8, time block your day, right? So let's go back to set specific work hour. He said, man, it feels like it's a job. Well, you have a business, and businesses have what? Operating hours. Set, you just, it is what it is. That doesn't
Right.
mean you have to be doing the things you don't like to do all day, which is where we're going to get into how you time block your day. But you do need to have operating out. When is your business operable? If you had a real brick and mortar, when would you be open?
Right.
So you
Right.
you
Right.
have to say it like, this is the time I'm working on my business. If it's 10 to 7, if it's 10 to 4, if it's 9 to 2, it can be 4 hours a day. It can be 5 hours, 6 hours. You don't may not need a full 8 hours.
Right.
But set specific work hours, and then don't work after that.
Right. Right.
Like, I don't do work after that, because these are my operating hours. If you try to go to the store and you try to get to CVS or Walgreens, whatever the drugstore is in your area, you get there, they're not gonna. They may or may not be open. They're not. Matter of fact, they're not going to be open until tomorrow, because
Right.
these are our hours that we do this during. But
Exactly.
going back to number 8, again, this is where the juice comes in of how to execute violently daily. Let's say I have a work day of 10 to 6. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's when I'm working. I got time in the morning, wake up, do all my personal stuff. Because again, I still have personal goals, right? I do all my personal things. I knock out some stuff, working out, setting my mind right, all those things, devotion, pray, whatever it is that you do, run your little errand. But by 10 o'clock, you're in work mode.
Mm-hmm.
And what Ron was talking about is you want to have that focus time, like 10 to 12. I'm focusing on the theme of the day. 10
Right.
to 12, I'm content creation, I'm marketing, etc. But later in the day, maybe 2 to 6, I may, if I got everything done that I need to get done between 2 to 12, then I'm working on creative stuff, because that's what energizes me. So
Right.
10 to 12, I put right here, focus, work time, working on the theme of the day. 12 to 2, that's your lunch time, lunch and leisure, if you
Mm.
want to have that much time. Some people don't need that much time for lunch and leisure, but maybe you want to lunch, maybe you want to go network, have a meeting with somebody that's, it's on a Thursday, but I'm doing it during my lunchtime. Or maybe I just want to have a phone call, with a personal phone call, or, maybe I want to take a nap. I don't know. Whatever it is you want to do, you just want to chill. I don't know. That's the beauty of being the CEO of your own day. But you give yourself that time block. This is my lunch and leisure time block. I'm going to say no more than 2 hours. So that's 12 to 2. And then you have your extended work, your continued work hours, and that is 2 to 6.
Yeah.
So 10 to 12 focus, 12 to 2 lunch and leisure, 2 to 6 I'm
Yeah.
working again. If I have not gotten all my entrepreneurial tasks done, then I'm back working on that. But if I have, cool, I got free time. I'm about to go create and have fun, just vibing, and that's cool, right? So
And then that moves us to our next thing, right? During these time blocks, for you to be able to maximize productivity, so you can be more efficient, is you want to limit distractions.
yes,
So you might want to put your phone somewhere else, right? You may want to limit how many tabs you got open on your desktop, right? You want to just limit distractions. You might want to put your phone on silent or whatever the case may be, so that things aren't distracting you and encouraging you to procrastinate or delay, right? Because the things are going to come, right? That's just the reality of it. So we want to be able to limit those so that we can progress and get these things off our plate, so we're moving closer to, once again, those annual goals that it says that we're working towards. Okay, so that's 9. So then that puts us at 10, right? And we got a 10A and a 10B. So 10A is use a project management tool. So like the 90-day planner is one thing, but then there's other, software and things like that. And we're going to give you all a couple of names. So look up Asana, Notion, Trello. These are different softwares that you can put on your phone, even on your desktop computer, to where now you're using these tools to help you stay on top of tasks that you need to do.
yeah. 10B, right? Let's get into 10B. You're going to track your productivity. Tracking your productivity, even with a 90-day planner, there's some due date times on there. If you're looking at your annual output, if you got it done, put a check mark. If you didn't get it done, put an X, right? That's just tracking it in that way. But there are other tools that you can even use. Spreadsheets, yes, of course, but there are apps as well that's like you plug in, hey, my 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., my work time. And then did I do my focus work time? Yes.
Right.
And then the next day, yes. And then the next day, yes. And the next day, yes. By the end of the week, if you did it all, boom, you're 100%. You're on fire. You're tracking your productivity. And if it's not, those apps will say, hey, you didn't get this done. You need to get it done. You want to reschedule it to another time. And it helps you stay there. Because once you can see your productivity, then you're like, oh, I was able to get more done. This is encouraging me to adhere to time management practices.
Right.
I told you all the juice was in the shorter, execute violently daily. So again, we had 10A and 10B. One was using project management tools like Asana and Notion. 10B was tracking your productivity using apps or spreadsheets. I'm going to say use apps because you can have it on your phone. It can send you notifications, as opposed to a spreadsheet is something that you have to go and look at and keep up with. That app is going to keep up with you. Also, with those project management tools like Asana, those things can assign you due dates, pop up on your calendar. It can work in conjunction with other apps. You can assign tasks to other people, which kind of is getting me into one of the other tasks. But I'm gonna let Ron, not one of the other ways, right? Because we're almost there. But I want to let Ron give you the next one.
So number 11, set 3 goals for the next day, right? So you don't want to overwhelm yourself and inundate yourself with too much, right? You don't want to be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do 24 tasks today. It's like, no, do about 3. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, I'm gonna do 3 goals this day for my admin task. I'm gonna do 3 goals this day for my content. I'm gonna do 3 goals this day. So break them up into like threes, right? I'm in 3 of the sweet spots where it's like I feel as though I've been productive and it's not too much where it's gonna overwhelm me. And I just, because what happens when we overwhelm mind, don't do nothing. If I'm overwhelmed, I'm just gonna fall back and be like, once again, when you're encouraging yourself to procrastinate, and we don't want you to do that. So just limit it to those 3 goals.
Going back to our case study of Ron and I's podcast, I talked about getting 60 per month, right? 60 sponsor reach outs that we're reaching out to different businesses per month. Well, that winds up working itself out to like 15 per week. So you already know, okay, cool. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach out to 15 people this week. Mm-hmm. But without a schedule, what day were you going to reach out to them on? Right. And okay, cool. I know what day I'm reaching out to them on, but am I going to do all 15 on that day? Or am I going to say, let me just do 5 this day and then do the other 10 on this day, just to kind of pace it out so that I'm not overdoing it. So when I set my goals for tomorrow, I'm like, okay, what's my top 3 things? Oh, well, I've already done 10 people. My goal is to reach out to 5 more and I'll hit my 15 for the week. My other goal is to do this, et cetera, et cetera. You'll see it once you have everything laid out in the week. Again, using these free gifts that we're giving you in the Good Time Bundle. Let's keep it going.
All right. Number 12, you want to regularly review and adjust. So look at those goals and see, okay, cool. Do I need to tweak anything because I may be lagging or I may not have been as productive or I'm overproductive? So that's great. So now I can add a couple more tasks, right? But you want to review. That's what I'm saying. That's why we have these things, because you want to document. You want to write it down. As you're documenting and writing it down, you can track it. If you're tracking it, you can adjust it. So that's going to be very key, is to be able to track and then adjust if need be.
Yeah. So don't just create, I wrote everything down, and you be like, where you write it down at? When the last time you looked at it? Ooh, I haven't looked at that notebook since, or I haven't looked at that. No, that's why I love the visual, the annual output visual. That's something you can print out if you want to and post it on your wall or put it on your desk, or you can put it somewhere on your screensaver so that you can kind of look at it and you can keep yourself visually on track. You're reviewing it. And if you look at it and say, hey, with everything coming down the pipeline, this is not going to happen. I need to take this off, but I'm going to make up for it down here because I see more wiggle room in my schedule, right? This is what happens when you regularly review. I would say review it daily and also weekly, right?
Yeah. No. Then next, right, we have So we have delegate tasks, but I'm gonna add another one of our favorite words is delegate and automate, right? Where you can't delegate, automate. Where you can't automate, delegate. But delegate tasks, automate tasks. You don't have to do everything. We're not asking you to do everything. You're not going to be sustainable if you do everything. We are not encouraging you to be a solopreneur. We want you to be a creativepreneur, which is an entrepreneur, but you need to find other people that you can delegate tasks to. You need to find other systems and tools that you can automate tasks to so that you're not inundated and overwhelmed, because let's face it, we're creatives. We want to create, but we know we need this business stuff in order for us to be able to create and do the things that we want to do. So in order to do that, you got to get stuff off your plate. You can't eat that full plate because you're going to be full and it's like, forget it then. I don't even want to eat. And
Right.
we've seen that
Right.
too many times.
Yes, delegate and automate. So maybe you did all these things like, man, I got work hours. I've been time blocking. I don't have my phone out. I'm not distracted. I'm using a project management tool to keep everything lined up. I'm tracking my productivity. Even if I'm not using a separate app, I use my calendar and I track it and I use on there. I put tasks on there and I check them off, and I'm really doing that. I set my 3 goals and I still feel like I'm out of time. I've been reviewing it. I look at it every day. I look at it weekly, a real glance. I still feel like I'm out of time. You, my friend, probably are at the point where you need to start automating some things or delegating some things. You're probably going to have to figure out how to put some tools in place that allow this stuff to run on the back end without you, or bring somebody else on the team who can say, hey, here are all these tasks. I think you could do these things for me. If it's a volunteer or if it's an employee or contractor, whoever. But the cool thing about having everything written down is that you know exactly what to assign them.
Right.
See, if you see when you go to your 90-day planner and you can say, hey, this is what we were doing this week. This is what we were doing this week. This is what we were doing this week. These are things that I don't have to do. You could do this. You could do this. You could do this. You can do this. Boom. Now you've helped yourself be able to delegate some things. And then last but not least, because we said 14, because that was 13. Number 13 was delegate some tasks, automate some tasks. Number 14, and this is one of the most important ones. Of course, me being a person who loves structure and systems, I like all the short, like number 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, A and B, 11, 12. I loved all those. But this one, with this focusing on self-development is the key right here.
And that is, you want to read business books on time management, right? One of my favorite books is Atomic Habits. We'll leave a link in the podcast show notes so that you can get that book. Atomic Habits is a great book where it'll help you to, develop habits that will get you closer to the goals that you want to do. And once again, they're small habits, is right? So we're not trying to take these huge leaps, but if you take these small steps over a long period of time, you get closer to your goal. That's why we started with the 1 year or 3 to 5 years, but now we're breaking it down even more, right? So as we do these steps, it gets us closer to the goal. And that's what the book encourages. And listen, if you outside of a book, you can get you a coach as well, right? Get you a time management coach that can help you to manage your time. But those are our steps.
Those are 14 ways
Yeah.
to have good time management skills. And I'm going to talk about it again, mmcbpodcast.com/good time bundle.
Yes.
Where you're going to get the 90-day planner, and you're going to get the annual output visual Canva template link so that you can pull it right up into your Canva and start designing it right there. I have to do this. I normally don't do it. We talk a lot about Ron being a coach, but I am a course creator. I consult some people some time. But one of the courses I created is all about automating. Ron talked about number 13 was to delegate some tasks or automate some tasks. And I have a course called Automatic Booking Bootcamp. And it's for people who are booked to perform or speak. It's perfect for you. And you're like, hey, I don't want to have to do all the booking management aspects of sending the contract and sending the invoice and all that. I want that stuff to be automated. I designed a course specifically for you. You can get it at abb.shyspeaks.com. abb.shyspeaks.com. Again, you want to automate some tasks, go get that. And if you're like, okay, I'm not ready to start automating just yet, I need to start with the long term. Get the good time bundle. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I have for this episode.
So listen, that's it. So by the end of this episode, you should be clear on why you should be focusing on managing your time. You should have some tools to walk away with to be able to manage your time, right? So yes, listen, you should be having a good time because you managing your time,
Yeah.
right? We didn't
Yeah.
give you the tools to do so. So we want to just thank you all for joining us. We always thank you for, spending your time with us, listening to the podcast. You could be anywhere doing anything, but you spend your time with us. We also want to encourage you, listen, if you're loving what we're doing, join the Creative Corners community, right? It is a newsletter as well as a Facebook community with other creative entrepreneurs like yourself, where there's networking and fellowship and things taking place so that we can grow as creativepreneurs, so that we can, if you're not at that 6-figure mark yet, get to the 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure and above marks, right? So join that, and you can go to our website, mmcbpodcast.com, to be a part of that community. So
yeah. Thank you so much for listening to everything we have to say. We hope that those 14 ways helped you. And if they didn't help you, we hope the good time bundle doesn't help you. And if that didn't help you, we're going to be praying for you. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to encourage you with this mantra that we leave every episode with, because perhaps you're like the client that Ron mentioned, who sometimes needs to close their mouth because they're speaking negative things. But it's not just closing your mouth. You have to also open your mouth to say great things over yourself. So we're going to end this podcast by saying something great over ourselves. Y'all ready for this mantra?
let's get it.
Well, repeat after me. All it takes
All it takes
is intention,
intention,
consistency,
consistency,
and laser focus
and laser focus
to mind my creative business.
to mind my creative business. And on that note, we see y'all later.